Da sighed and continued without Taemon's answer. Psi is a gift from the heart of the earth, he said, measuring his words with exaggerated patience. A person unites with the earth's spirit, and if his heart is pure, his will becomes one with the will of the earth. Psi was meant to accomplish that which is good for humankind, not selfish gain, not idle amusement. If Elder Nasef is planning on choosing the true sun himself and dictating the start of the new cycle, then I'm telling you he is acting outside his authority. Uncle Fier gasped. You go too far, Wilgerman. That's blasphemy. What possible reason could the High Priest have for going against the will of the earth? Taemon was just as curious as Uncle Fier to know the answer to that question. But before Da could respond, Ma'am, ever the peacemaker, spoke up. Why don't you boys have a look at the Unisphere? She said. I'll call you when it's time for dessert. Is that all right, Fier? Sure, Uncle Fier said, obviously grateful for the distraction. You can even sit on it if you like. Is it safe? Ma'am asked. He nodded. It's stable enough with the emergency brake in place. Jens was instantly out of his seat, heading for the back door, which was already opening with the help of Psi. Taemon followed. Uncle Fier called out after them. But you don't have permission to start it! Jens reached the Unisphere first and planted himself on the seat. Ever seen one of these up close? He asked. Taemon shook his head. I have. Jens leaned forward and squeezed the hand grips. Andon's brother has one. He showed us how it works. Taemon took a moment to admire the machine. The tire, if it was even called a tire, was a big black rubber ball with a tread that was patterned after alligator skin. The tire ball had a cap on top, like an upside-down bowl that covered more than half the ball. The sun gleamed off the shiny chrome of the cap, except for where an alligator symbol was etched in black on the sides. The fierce emblem made the Unisphere look dangerous even when it sat in the driveway. On top of the chrome cap was a black leather seat that had a slight curve to it. But where was the engine? Even a Unisphere had to have an engine of some kind. You couldn't just roll the ball forward. It wouldn't go very fast, not unless you exerted a lot of psi, and you'd get tired in a minute or two, just like with running. Psi engines didn't need fuel like in the old days, but there had to be gears and cams and springs to transfer the energy so a person didn't have to exert himself so much. There had to be an engine somewhere on this thing. Taemon frowned. Usually, he could figure out the general idea behind a machine, even if he didn't know enough details to operate it. But this Unisphere had him stumped. Of course, that was the whole point of Psi. You had to know how something worked. You had to picture in your mind exactly what the machine looked like, parts and all, and then tell those parts what to do. If you didn't know clearly and precisely how something was to be done, you couldn't use Psi to do it. The more he stared at the Unisphere, the more Taemon had to know how it worked. He was tempted to do something he hadn't done since he was a little kid. He was tempted to let his mind wander. When Taemon first learned to use Psi, he used to send out a small tendril of his mind to explore the world, like an ant scouting things out. It wasn't quite the same as using Psi, because it could only explore, not move or change anything. But Da had made it clear that mind-wandering was bad. Never to be done, never to be spoken of. He had been strict about it, so much so that Taemon had never told anyone else about it, not even Mam or Jens. Now that Taemon was older, he had figured out why. It was different. And different was suspicious, and suspicious was dangerous. So Taemon stood there, staring at the Unisphere, wishing he knew where the engine was and how the crazy thing worked.